Alright, so I'm going to take this cardboard box that we made, and I'm going to show you how we took it and turned it into one of the box photos with 9 different boxes. Now you don't have to do 9, you can change the size of the boxes and make them however you want, but for this one we'll just do the 9 box display. So you can see for this box I just got 2 cardboard boxes from Home Depot. One of them was 24 inches by 21 inches, or sorry, 24 inches by 20 inches, and then 21 inches deep. And I cut them in half, and then I just taped them together to make a bigger box. So that way I had the box that I need. And then I just cut out a 28 by 28 inch square and put it in the back of the box. That way it was nice and covering of the tape as well as the back ends of the box that are in the back, so I don't have all those nice harsh lines in the background. After I put the box together and I had it kind of the way I wanted, I took pictures of it and I rotated it on each side. By doing this, it kind of moves the tape around, so when I'm editing, if I need a new soft edge in a certain spot, I can just grab one of these layers and use it as a reference to kind of get rid of the tape. And you can see I just did a couple of them. Then I plugged in the lights and I tried to get some pictures with the lights to get the lighting correct, and then put my subject inside of the box. So I grabbed a bunch of different items that we could use as props inside the box. You can see we ended up double ending over the lights, taping them down. You can see the nice shiny tape in there, but we'll get rid of that later. And then I just took some pictures, kind of changing the different ways he was sitting, tried some different poses, some different props, until I got all the pictures that I wanted. An easy way to do this is to organize how you want your boxes to be set up. That way, when you're looking at the boxes, if you want them like throwing snowballs, or for example, like in this one where he's tied, if you wanted a piece of it coming to the next box, you can kind of organize it so those boxes line up. I didn't have any of that planned. I just did the snowballs, as you can see in my final picture here. I had my littlest one throw some snowballs as well as my oldest throw some snowballs up. So I edited those in later. Alright, sweet. So to get the pictures out of Photoshop, what I did is I went through and I just kind of edited them all together just to kind of get a general sense, because I used a strobe to get my lighting how I wanted it, which made it easier for editing. But I basically went through, I edited how I wanted, and then once I had it, I just highlighted them all and hit the sync button, and basically I could sync it all the way through so my pictures are the same color. Once you get that done, now we just got to move them over into Photoshop, because that's where we're going to actually make our box. So to do that, you find the pictures that you want. So I'll just go ahead and grab a couple. So I'll grab this picture, hold the command key, grab this picture, hold the command key, grab this picture. And you can do this all the way through. And then the way that you can get them over, you can go photo, edit in, and then you can open as layers in Photoshop. You can open it as a smart object, whichever one you prefer, or you can just edit in Photoshop. So because I still had editing to do on each picture to get the tape out, I ended up just doing one at a time. So I'll just show you. I grabbed this photo here, and I went photo, edit in Photoshop, which is also just the command E if you want to use the shortcut. And then we'll edit it over in Photoshop. So here you can see this was my picture. I went through, I edited out all the lines of tape. In order to do that, you got a couple different options for tools. You can use your spot removal tool, and just to show you what this looks like. This one you don't need any type of a reference. You just click and hold, go around the area you want, let go, and it removes it. The other option is you could use just a regular spot healing brush where you use a reference. So you'd hold the option key, click on some spot you want to use as a reference, and then you can again highlight and now paint out the spot that you want. One other one you could use the patch tool, or you can actually use the stamp tool. The rubber stamp tool is a hard edit though, so if you grab something, it's going to make it look exactly the same. You can see here how the shadows the same darkness as it was down here, which makes it a little bit harder to kind of know where you're grabbing. You have to use a spot that's pretty close to the same area in order to make it look good. So that's how you would do that. Cool, so once you get rid of the tape or whatever lines you need, then it's time for you to go in and actually crop the image. So here you'll notice that I didn't really care about the border. There's spots where the border are doubled over, they're single. I'm not too worried about that because what I'm going to use, I'm going to use something called the selection tool. And here I'm just going to grab from the corner, so the bottom left corner, I'm going to drag it up. I'm going to drag it across, so now I'm corner to corner. And you can see how each corner is now meeting the edge of my box. And then what you can do is you can layer via cut, and now it separates it, right? So you have your background layer, and then you have your new layer. So you can go Command A, which will highlight it, Command C. And if we wanted to put it into our layer, then we could just move it over. So that's how I'm going to kind of make my boxes. But if I deselect this background, you can kind of see how now I've got this nice square. Each corner meets up with the edge, which will be really good when we get to this phase where we're putting them into our boxes and want them all even. All right, so before we go any further, what I'm going to do, I'm going to back up here so everything looks the same. We still got our same layer. And let's open up our new window so we can make our background to start this. So we'll go File, go to New, and we got to come up with our dimensions. So I used custom dimensions. You can see here I did a 24 by 24 box. You can do 8 by 8. You can do whatever you want as far as the size that you need. I recommend going bigger so you keep the detail in there, but that's up to you. So we'll go ahead and go with a 24 by 24. If you don't see those options here, you can make them. So for example, over here, if I wanted to do a 28 by 28, I would just say 28 by 28, but that's not what I want. Again, I want a 24 by 24, so we'll just leave it as they are. And then we'll hit create. You can see we got this nice white background layer. And don't worry about the color for now. We'll change the color here in a little bit. But all we're going to do is we're going to start setting this up so we can see our grid lines and everything like that. So you can see here, I've set up the ruler so that way I can kind of see how long each one is. You can see 24 inches and then 24 inches down here. So our box is the correct size. So now we'll go up here and we can go to the view button. And we can see we can turn on our rulers or turn off our rulers. So if yours looks like this, you go and go to view, click on rulers, and now you'll be able to see the same thing I'm seeing, which helps with measurements and figuring out thirds and stuff like that. And if your Photoshop doesn't look anything like this, if you go over here to the top right, see this little drop down arrow, you can click on photography and it'll set up your workspace so it looks just like mine. From here, we're going to go ahead and set up our grid lines. So we'll go view. If you come down here, you see guides. And what we want to do is we want to create our third lines so we can make our nice box. So I'm going to go to new guide layout. And yours may not initially look like this. It'll probably look something like this. So in order to change this, all we have to do is we go to the number of columns we want, which columns go up and down. So we'll go to 3. Now, if you want each picture to marry up to each other to where you don't have a colored border in between, then your gutter, you're going to put to 0. And now you see you just have one solid line. If you do want some kind of color in between, which I kind of like, then you can put a gutter based off of how thick you want it. A good starting point, if you just let Photoshop come up with the third value, you can. The other ways, you can just come up with kind of a generic inch. So I did a 1/4 of an inch, which just set up that nice little gutter right there. Now we're going to do the same thing with our rows, which rows will go left to right. Again, making sure our gutter matches our columns. So we got 1/4 of an inch. But we also want the border to go around the edge. So in order to do that, we have to kind of build a gutter around the edge. So we'll do that with margins. And again, you just set them up so they're the same size as your gutter. Now you can see we got these nice boxes where we can lay our pictures into, and all of our grid lines are set up. If you don't like the blue color, you can always change the color as well. And you can do something that makes it a little bit easier on your eyes. So we can go with, we'll try and change it. Well, I guess we'll go with green this time. So now you can see all of our lines. All right, so now we have our box set up. We have our grid lines set. We know where we're going to put the images. Each one of these are nice and even. Photoshop did the calculations for us. So let's grab our image. So we'll come back to our image. I'm going to copy it. So we'll go Command A, which is select all. If you don't know the shortcuts, you come up here, you go to select all, and then this will tell you the shortcut. Once we have it selected, we're going to copy it. So again, Command C, or you'll go to Edit, Copy. So copy the image. Make sure you're on the correct layer that you're copying. And then we'll go to our new document. We'll paste it in. So Command V, or again, Edit, Paste, which is Command V. And now our image is over here. You can see it's on a brand new layer. So now every time we add in another image, it'll just build itself up over here. So now we got to make this image fit inside here. So earlier I told you we'll use the selection tool, which I have right here. And we want to chop down this box a little bit so that way we cut off some of these hard, nasty edges. So we'll grab the corner here. We'll pull it up to this corner. Trying to make sure we stay in the box. We're not chopping off any toes or anything like that. But let go. You can see our selection is made. Now we have our selection. We'll right click, layer via cut. You'll see it separated the layers, so we can now get rid of that background. And now we have just the box. Each corner lined up, so it's a nice even box. If you grab your move tool, you can actually move it up into the corner you want. You can see that it sits kind of right there, but it's a little bit too big. So now we got to change the size. So if we hit Command T, we'll go to something called Free Transform. If you don't know where Command T is, you can go to Edit, Free Transform, which is Command T. And then up here at the top, you're going to see this little keychain. And this keychain will allow us to move everything and keep the aspect ratio the same. So if I didn't do this, I'll show you. The image gets all distorted and doesn't look the same. We don't want that to happen. So what you would do is you just hit the keychain and pull it in. Get it as close as you can to the size you want. That way it stays nice and even. We don't stretch his face or anything like that. Pull it all the way out. There you go, everything's nice and even. And now at the end, now we can unhook the keychain and just barely pull it down so it snaps to the guides. Now if you notice, mine just grabs onto these guides that we put in. However, if your photo is not grabbing onto the guides, you can actually make it do that. Just go to View, come down here to Snap To, and just hit the guides. And that'll snap to all of the guides. So that way every layer snaps to it, and they're all lined up evenly. Alright, after you're done with your free transform, don't forget to hit the return key. That way it saves that transformation and puts it in the box. Alright, so we got to do this to the rest of our pictures. You can see I only have one in here, but the process would be all the same. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move over to this side where now I've already got all of my pictures copied over. You can see they're all in here. The only difference is I've already got the background color done, so we can change that. We'll put it back to white here, just so it doesn't make anything confusing. It'll look the exact same. So there you go. I've copied all my pictures in. They're snapped to the guides. So that way it all looks like this. If you want to see it again, just grab the picture. We'll go copy, paste. We can move it up into this one. Again, you're just going to do this with each of your different images, but for time, I'm going to go ahead and just put them into each one, so that way you're not having to watch me crop every photo. There we go. Now they're all nice and even, spaced out. You can see each one lines up perfectly. All the spacing is the same all the way around, so it'll be a nice even box. Alright, once we have our pictures where you want, you've moved them around, and again, you can move them, so if you don't like this alignment, you can move it out of the way. You can try shifting this picture up. Move this one over. And then you've got them all set up how you want. Then we can get rid of the guides. So just go back to View, Show, and then uncheck the guides. And now those guides go away so you can see your image. From here, we need to change the color of the background. So to do that, come down to your background layer. And we're going to grab our dump tool. So come over here. It's a bucket tool, paint bucket tool. We click on these three dots. Here's my little bucket. If you don't see it here, check your toolbar, make sure it's not up here. And now we want to come up with the color we're going to put inside of our background. So to do that, click on the white box. And you'll see we have our color swatch over here, so we can pick. But what I want to do is I actually want to sample a picture or a color from inside this box. And I'll show you what that looks like. I'll zoom in here for you. So let's say this is my picture, this is my background. I'll grab my color picker. And as you can see, as soon as you move off screen from this little area, you get a drop tool. And now I can pick a color based off where I want. So if I pick this shade of brown, it automatically selects. If I pick this shade of brown, it changes. And we can try each one however we want. So we'll just start with this one. Go ahead and hit OK. Now we've got our bucket tool. We just click on the white. And you can see it makes that nice, rich, dark brown. And now all of our lines are filled in. If we don't like that, we can go back to our color selection here, do a lighter color, so we can grab something back here. Again, just click, and now we got something a little bit lighter. So now it all looks nice and even. Once you kind of have it how you want it, you can flatten it. So you come over here to these lines, and you can flatten the image. And then it'll make it a smaller format for whenever you go to export it. So to export, Just come up here, File, come down to Export, Export As. Make sure your quality is up. You got the type of image you want. I usually just do JPEG, and then you just hit Export. Now, if you didn't want them to be this thick, like you don't like the way these lines look, you can go back. So we go back to View, Guides. You can clear the guides. And what we can do is we can create new guides. So we'll go New Guide Layout. We thought 1/4 inch was too small, so now we can do something a little bit smaller. So we can go with maybe half of that. So we'll go with 0.12. Okay, now our guides are set. Hit OK. And then we just gotta go back to our pictures here. So we'll grab our Move tool, click on the picture you want, and we just have to resize them. So free transform, snap it to our guide, snap it to our guide, snap it to our guide. Hit enter. We just gotta do this with each of our images. Command T, or go up here again, image, or sorry, edit, free transform, snap it to it. So all our pictures are lined up. Oh, too far. Okay. Command T. Again, if yours isn't snapping to the guides, go back here to View, Snap to Guides. If you don't want it to snap to the guides, you can also turn that function off. It just makes it a little bit faster if you have it snap to the guides. I'll show you what it looks like here in a sec. Okay, I'm just free transforming each picture using the free transform tool to make sure they're all the same. Clicking on each image so that way it'll highlight the layer for me. Hitting enter afterwards. And just dragging it to the new guides now that we edited the size. Alright, now we got them all lined up. We'll go back here, View, turn off our guides. So we'll go to Show, Guides. And now you can see it's a little bit thinner, so it's not quite as defined. And it just gives you just that little bit of edge, so it looks like it's the edge of the cardboard box. And if you want to show the background layers, click on the background, grab our photo dump tool or color dump tool. Oh, you can see this edge didn't work. Let's see here. See, I don't have my guide on, so it makes it a little bit more tedious. There we go. Grab our photo bucket tool, If we want a darker color, select a different area here. Hit OK, and dump the color. Oh, looks like it accidentally hit our layer here, so go back to our background layer and click, and there you go. Nice and dark, see each box, and that's the way it's done. If you want, you can save it like this. However, it'll just make it a bigger file because you've got all these different layers that are still there, but at least you'll be able to go back and edit them if you want. Otherwise, again, flatten, and then export. Export as. Make sure your format's correct, quality's up, and then hit the export button to save it where you want. Thanks for watching.